Hello, CTK students. Welcome to another week of Michigan Experience class. This week, we are going to discuss Mackinac Island right here in our state of Michigan. Mackinac Island is situated in Lake Huron, near the Straits of Mackinac, and it has ferry connections to St. Ignace, which is in the Upper Peninsula, and Mackinac City, which is in the Lower Peninsula. So if you look here at this map, you can see the whole island of Mackinac Island. And here on this map in the corner, you can see if we wanted to go to Mackinac Island from our home, we would take this highway right here, all the way about here where we would get on a ferry. Because the only way to get to an island is to take the ferry there. This island is 8 miles in circumference and thickly forested. It has been a state park since 1895. And in this picture, you can see there are so many trees, except for right here in the front where you can see all those buildings. But that means 8 miles in circumference means it's 8 miles. If you were to travel along the outside of the island all the way around, it's only 8 miles long. Mackinac Island retains an 18th and 19th century atmosphere. That means automobiles are banned, and horses and buggies and bicycles are used for transportation. Mackinac Island was first visited by French explorers in the 1600s. The island used to be an ancient Indian burial ground called Michilimackinac, which means Great Turtle, when, because of its strategic location, the British established a fort there in 1780. Then you can see some of the pictures here of the forts because there was actually a British fort at one time and an American fort. And it looks really fun to go there to visit the forts because it looks like sometimes they'll have live demonstrations, which right here in this photo, you can see some of the men dressed as soldiers, they're shooting off a canyon. And right here, the tourists get to watch. They all have their ears plugged right there. It's kind of funny. After the United States took possession of the island in 1783, it became headquarters for John Jacob Astor's American Fur Company, which if you remember back, I think when we were talking about Michigan's early settlers, we talked about voyagers who were Frenchmen who would come and they would trade with the Native Americans or actually hunt and trap animals for their fur. This gentleman started a company and he became incredibly wealthy. Mackinac Island was only later on developed to a resort. Occupied by the British during the War of 1812, it was regained by the United States in 1815. So there was a little bit of flipping back and forth between Mackinac Island being in control by the British and the Americans. But I thought this picture was interesting. You can see all these furs that this gentleman was helping deal with. Mackinac Island is bordered by limestone cliffs. It rises in the east to 339 feet above the surrounding waters. Features include Skull Cave, which you can see here in this picture. If you read the little sign, it says, according to tradition, this cave in which the English fur trader Alexander Henry hid out during the Indian uprising of 1763. The floor of the cave, he claimed, was covered with human bones, presumably Indians. Probably because that was probably a place where maybe the Indians buried their dead, and that's why all those bones were there. But a lot of people will go and hike and see this cave. There's also landmarks such as the Ark Rock, which is right here. You can see the big rock here. This picture was taken in winter. And also Sugarloaf, right here, which is a limestone tower. Now, early on in our first class, I showed you the picture of this hotel and I asked you guys to guess what it was. Do you remember what this hotel is called? Got a pretty easy name. It's called the Grand Hotel. This hotel has been owned by the same family for over 85 years. And at 660 feet, the Grand Hotel's front porch is the world's largest. And it is visible as you approach the island from Lake Huron on the ferry. The square feet of the Grand Hotel is 332,500 square feet. It is very large. And if you remember, I think I mentioned at one point there was a movie filmed here. Here is a snapshot from that movie right here. It was called Somewhere in Time, but they filmed the movie here on the island and at that hotel. Every year they have the annual Lilac Festival in June. It marks the start of the summer resort season, which sadly this year it was canceled because of COVID, but normally they would have that every June and it kind of kicks off the season. And then in July, the island is the end point of a race called Race to Mackinac, which is a 330-mile yacht race up Lake Michigan from Chicago. And it has been a race that has run since 1898. So if you were to look on a map at the Lake Michigan, at the very bottom of Lake Michigan is Chicago. And all these yachts race all the way up Lake Michigan through the Straits of Mackinac, which means like basically under the Mackinac Bridge, and then all the way to Mackinac Island, which is the finish point. I thought that was pretty interesting. And here is some people's favorite part about Mackinac Island, the fudge. So Mackinac Island is known for horse-drawn carriages and deep history, but it's also known for its signature sweet treats. Visitors can enjoy a taste as they roam downtown, where there are 14 fudge shops, which make more than 10,000 pounds of fudge per day during the peak season. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, the town of Mackinac Island is actually very, very small if you consider most of these places are hotels and services, but there is an awful lot of fudge shops. It is so popular that as many as 10 tons of sugar are imported to the island weekly to match the 10 tons of butter annually. Even one of our presidents, President Gerald R. Ford, stopped at May's Fudge and purchased a fresh off the slab slice of vanilla pecan when he visited Mackinac Island in 1975. Ideally, before COVID hit, I was going to be going to Mackinac Island this week, and I would have brought you guys home some awesome fudge, but alas, I was not able to. Maybe next year. But here I'm including a video so we can see how fudge is made. So let's go ahead and watch this short video just to watch, because all these fudge shops on Mackinac Island, you can actually go in there and watch them make it there in the store. And then you can actually even purchase the fudge you just watch them make. So let's go ahead and watch this clip for a second. fudge on Mackinac Island is so popular that most of the stores will ship their fudge all over the United States and probably even to certain parts of the world if you really wanted it. But yeah, it's very popular. You can find it in ice cream. You can find it sold in stores. It is a very yummy treat. So that's our teaching about Mackinac Island. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For this week, you have a couple options. I'm going to have a coloring sheet of a horse and buggy that you can color. You can also draw a picture of what you would want to do if you went to Mackinac Island, or if you've already been there, draw what your favorite part of it was. And then also the third choice, the most delicious option, if it works for your parents and there's capacity to do it, try making some fudge. There's a whole bunch of different recipes. There's ones you can make in the microwave even. I'm going to include a recipe that I think makes a pretty good tasty fudge. And maybe you guys could try making that. But choose one of those activities. Go ahead and post a picture of it on Slack. And look forward to Mrs. Carnes posting another video for you guys on Thursday. All right, guys, have a great